about research methods in English chapter. We already seen chapter 1, 2, 3 research methods in English in previous videos. If you have not watched that video, please go and watch that. This topic, methods of research, biography, history of ideas and technique. Let's go. In Britain, the USA, Canada and other English-speaking countries, literary research is usually confined to biography and editing of text, generally termed bibliographical and textual criticism. Distinction between a scholar and critic is made. Naturally, the researcher in the British and American universities knows what is he going to do, why he is going to do it, and how he will do it. He defines his methodology categorically and seldom deviates critical stance. Even when he is facts, he adopts a particular critical approach, method of analysis. In India, the situation is different. Biography is not considered a method of research nor is editing. The only kind of research which is most forgot the fact that no work of art can be completely separated from its creator. It always bears the stamp of his personality. The reader, after finishing a novel or a poem, wants to know about its author. He asks who wrote it, what kind of poem, what kind of man was he, under what circumstance did he write it? Are all the events described a part of his personal experience? Do the characters depicted in it come from real life? The formalist critic remains unconcerned with these. But we want to know them, and there is the biographer to help us. He tells the life story, correlating his literary output with the important events of his life. Biography is an important kind of research. In the past, author maintained anonymity. The work was more important. The ancient writers wrote almost nothing about them, nor did other people. Proved in mystery after death. To a number of fictitious stories and myths. The most common myth about the great ancient poets in their illiteracy, humble birth, and blindness. Homer is reputed to be blind. Valmiki, a blind bird. Kalidas, an idiot. Shakespeare, a poacher. This fictionalizing of facts and covering them with a romantic aura created problems for scholars and critics. It became increasingly difficult to determine that time and date. List the works they really composed and determine their chronology. In spite of continued researchers, the dates of many important writers are debatable and their life history inauthentic. It was only in the 17th century that literary biographies began to be written. Dr. Samuel Johnson wrote the biographies, of course, sketching of 52 poets in his monumental work, The Lives of the Poets. Sir John Hawkins, who had been in the company of Johnson, he wrote Life. It was published on 1787. It was the great personality. But the real writing of biography began with Boswell's Johnson, which is still read with great interest, and the Johnson who know today is Boswell's Johnson. Since Boswell's Johnson biography he developed on different lines. We have biocritical biographies like A. N. Jeffries, W. B. Yeats, Man and the Poet. Donald She Affairs, Ego Nils, Son and Artist, and so on. In the second category or biographics, focusing on the milieu of the author, of which Edmund Malone's Life of Dryden, it was published on 1800, and David Mason's Life of Milton, it was published on between 1859 to 1880, are the most famous works. In the third category, or the biographics, which narrate the life story of a writer from ethical or moral point of view. Edward Darwin, Shakespeare, and Shelley are the representative examples. The fourth category of biographics is that of psychological biography, in which the biographer is more concerned with the exploration and presence of the writer's inner working of mind. Light and Scratches, Eminent Victorians is a psychological biography. The 20th century biographics have made the art of biography objective and exact. Now, here the following characteristics of the modern biography. One, it shows the author's growth of mind. Modern biographers are more interested in presenting the inner development of the authors. All the external events and influences are studied in relation to the shaping of an author's thought and art. Herbert Reeds, Wordsworth, and Ricardo Quintilian's shift are more concerned with the growth of the mind of these authors than with the presentation of the main events in their life. It tells us more accurately about the author's time and people. It is second one. An author is a product of his time, and he can he can be best understood and evaluated if we place him among the people with whom he had lived. Personal experience in his party, a joke made by a friend, or a private experience or allude. Joke or the experience unrelated to the allusion made in the work. J. Horn's biography of W. B. Yeats explains many of the obscure pages in his plays and poems. Fourth one, the admirers to create myths about their favorite author. There are Bernard Shaw, G. Now, we all know that a large number of them are more inventions, bold experiments in poetic forms and language we consider to be highly modern in his personal life. We all know, thanks to his biographers, that he was traditional in his personal life and behavior, and he never allowed an electrical lamp in his house. Now that the art of biography has become an objective, an important research activity, the goals of a author literary biographer can be enumerated as follows. Here I mentioned first one, disinterested study of the authors. Second one, situational correlation between the literary work and life. Third one, distinction between fact and fiction. Fourth one, avoidance of unnecessary details to make the biography interesting and project the author's personality. And finally, maintenance of an independent point of view to analyze both the positive and negative aspects of the author. These goals determine the task of the biographer. He, like a historian, collects materials from different sources. The author's autobiography is autobiographical statements and remissions of his friends and other acquaintances and articles in magazines and personal interviews. This is the goals. After collection of the materials, which are immensely large, and arrange them as well as practicable in the order, in order that he can correlate the events and the literary work. He must study all the works of the author and relevant criticism on them. The next task is to be present the author in both light and shade without any prejudice. For this, he must not hide any unpleasant truth, not twist any fact to malign the author or exonerate him from any charge leveled against. Lastly, the presentation should be clear and interesting, which is possible only when the biographer avoids unnecessary details and portrays the author as a man and artist. Now, second one, tools and methods of biography. As I earlier, that is source, the biographer can collect data from different sources, which can be broadly divided into four categories. First one, data contained in official records. Second one, information contained in semi-official reports. Third one, statements occurring in the statements or writings of the author's circle. Fourth one, material derived from the author's statement. Now, we see the detailed explanation of these. First one, official records. By official records is meant records kept in school, college, public record office and the church. In Christian countries, that means England was primarily a Christian country till the end of the first half of the 20th century. The child is Christian in a church. The clergyman keeps a register and enters its name and parents' name. He also performs the marriage rituals and keeps a record of the marriages of his parishioners. It is through the church records only that the date of birth, the Christian name, date of marriage, wife's name, and family can be authentically known. The records of the church are most important for the writers who wrote under a pseudonym. After the establishment of the universities of Oxford and Cambridge, the records of the college gained prominence, but the importance of the school records were never negated. Many things about Shakespeare that he was educated in the Stratford Grammar School. Public Record Office tells us about the genealogy, inherited property, and legacy of the authors. The knowledge of their family and landed property gives us an idea or confirmation of their upbringing. Second one, semi-official reports. Semi-official reports contain the family genealogy, family diary and family accounts book. In India, do not keep records for the reason that they are usually eaten by terminants and moths and therefore maintain the oral tradition. England being a cold country, people maintain written records, which are the middle class and the upper class paid more attention it to show an ancient lived can be described study of the family diary and family accounts book. For example, ensures diary is a great source of biographical information. Third one, statements and writings of the author circle. This kind of source is important for for two reasons. The first, that the author's class fellows and friends and teachers tells us many things which the author never noticed. An author, like other human beings, maintains two kind of relationships. One is formal and another one is informal. The formal relationship is which is teachers, elders and the people with whom he has had chance contacts. People's from an opinion about him which be superficial or sound. However, the teachers who know him personally and have helped on some occasions can better tell about him. The school and college friends with whom he or she has become an intimate terms give us a more detailed knowledge about him or her. During the period of his or her apprenticeship or gaining some maturity in literary craft, an author usually becomes a member of a literary circle and develops intimacy with the men of letters. Statements of these literary people are of immense value. The statements can be found in the correspondence between two friends who are intimate with author, in their diaries, in their autobiographies, and in their articles in different magazines and journals. Now, finally, the author's statement. The author's statement to him can be found exhaustively in his autobiography if he or she has written it, and largely in memoirs, journals, and letters. The ancient writers did not write autobiography nor mains, but occasionally referred to his works in their writings. The moderns, helped by the press, write much about themselves. For modern writers, the biographer has not to run from pillar to post in search of materials, but ancient writers demand greater labor and tenacity. These tips: the research student who chooses to write the biography of an author should take the following steps. Now I type here. Step 1. Second one. This is second one. Okay, third one. Prejudice in cases. Okay. These are the steps, and memories of a literary circle may be prejudiced and can either exaggerate the author's good qualities or be usually harsh and sometimes invent malicious lies. In order that the biography should be objective and impartial, the research student has to compare different kinds of statements and arrive at the conclusion after systematic investigation. Now, writing. Finally, the research student has to arrange the material chronologically. delete the unnecessary details, project the author's personality with a point of view correlating the different influences and is literary output. Biographical method is an art. The biographer, like a poet, has to learn his trade, and this can do by reading the standard biographies intentionally. Now we finish every literary work as two aspects: form and content. The it has a meaning, an idea or a freedom, but this freedom. Second one, technique. By technique, we mean the method of organizing the material collected. Every writer has own way of organizing or structuring the or she has collected. But the method of organization is neither erratic nor entirely original. It is a part of tradition the different genres have slowly developed. The short story is the development of the folktale. The novel technique includes narration, plot have made a use can do research on an author's art of characterization, plot construction, narrative technique, irony, and poetic diction. But from Plutarch lives in his from Plutarch lives in his Roman play. Researcher must read Plutarch lives self to an individual writer drafts was read. Full. We completed chapter flows and technique, and also we studied chapter 1 and chapter 2 background knowledge, chapter 4 methods and history of ideas. Okay, and also I make an post methodology PYQs UGC NET PYQ analysis. Please go and watch that video. That is very helpful to your upcoming UGC NET exams. PYQ analysis is the main step of your exam preparation. So kindly go and so many PYQs. Okay, I wind up this session. I hope you are all find this session helpful. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. This is Gauri from Intellectual Literature. Thank you.